Hello, good morning, and welcome to Unacademy IAS. Welcome to another session of the Hindu News Analysis. This is Shyam Sir here, taking up the session for 12th January 2026. Now, before I start the session, please do let me know that I'm audible and visible for all those who are present. Those present, please give the confirmation. Thanks a lot. Let's start. So, from today's daily edition of Hindu newspaper, I've taken a total of 10 articles. The discussion will be comprehensive in order to help you answer the questions in the prelims as well as mains examination. Now, if you're liking the discussion and the initiative of Hindu News Analysis, along with many other initiatives that we have launched for your benefit, do not forget to hit the like button. If you're yet to join our YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. Now, here is a very important announcement for those who are appearing for the Civil Services Examination 2026. Starting today, we are going to launch the Conquer Prelims initiative. There are multiple stages of this particular initiative. If you are writing the Prelims 2026, this initiative is a must for you. We are going to cover the current affairs of last 1.5 years with static portion, multiple marathons, etc. Right? Please do not miss out this particular initiative. Starting today, 7 p.m., Sarmat Sir will be taking up the Conquer Prelims 2026, right? Starting with the polity subject. Now, let's start. The first important article and the first couple of articles are associated with this initiative or this particular piece of law. POCSO, faster justice is not fairer. Very recently, that is in the month of December 2025, there was one important piece of news reported associated with the POCSO Act of 2012. What is the importance of that particular piece of news? That last year, the number of cases which were filed under this particular act, the number of cases which were filed under this particular act were more than 80,000, and the number of cases, right? Have a look at this. The number of cases which were filed were just over 80,000, and the number of cases which were closed was more than 87,000 cases, which meant the number of cases which were resolved was more than, right, basically meaning even the pending cases, some of the pending cases were resolved. Very often in the context of judiciary, there is one criticism or one important area of concern. The number of pending cases have been increasing. This is increasing the burden on the judiciary. But more importantly, when the number of pending cases keep on increasing, the time taken to deliver justice, the time taken to give justice to the petitioners or the applicants will also be longer. And that is a precise reason there is always a discussion associated with the pending case for overall judiciary. But in the context of the POCSO, right, the Act of 2012, under this, the number of cases filed were 80,000 and the number of cases resolved were cleared were more than 87,000, which also means more and more backlog cases for the first time under this particular, filed under this particular act, for the first time have been resolved. So now the question arises. No doubt, this is an important outcome. No doubt regarding that. It's an important outcome. But does faster justice always means a fair justice? The question is this. Faster justice, does it mean fair justice? In the context of the POCSO Act, this particular question has been answered in the article. Let's do the critical evaluation. In the context of the POCSO Act, if the cases are cleared very fast by the courts, the issue here is one, the FIRs which are filed by the police, right? FIRs, first information reports, which are filed by the police may not be correctly updated by the police, right? Various information that the police has to file in the reviews, they may not do that. And not to forget, many of these particular reports, lab reports, right, or the reports given by various authorities, these particular reports may not be submitted to the judiciary on time, right? That is one more concern. The second very important concern associated with faster clearing or this particular article is that the Supreme Court of India mandates that there has to be a support person appointed. There has to be a support person appointed. And this is mandatory now. What do you mean by support person? Under the section 39 of the POCSO Act, let's say there is a child in the case of POCSO Act, I'm pretty sure all of you know this by now. Anybody who is below the age of 18 years, I repeat, anybody who is below the age of 18 years, right, will be considered as child under the POCSO Act. Whether be it boy or a girl, doesn't matter, it will be considered as a child. And the reason this was implemented, the POCSO Act was implemented, was to ensure that whenever there are sexual offences conducted or perpetrated on the children, there is a need to provide them with a different treatment. There is a need to ensure that the judiciary, the police forces, the society, etc., will treat them right in a different way, not like, right, let's say the normal cases of sexual offences. And that is the precise reason the government introduced the POCSO Act. So under section 39 of the POCSO Act, it mandated that there has to be an appointment of the support person, and this was mandated by the Supreme Court. Support person will provide support to the, right, let's say the child here. What kind of support? What will be the procedure of the judiciary? Right, how much, right, let's say what kind of, right, let's say procedures will be conducted, right, what are the different steps that we are supposed to take, right, all of this particular information will be provided by the support person to the child which is involved under the POCSO, or which has gone through the sexual, right, let's say the offenses, which has faced the sexual offenses. But in many of the cases now it has been found that the support person is not appointed. In many of the instances, the support person is not appointed. So I hope you understand. On one side, important outcome to observe is what? The cases are getting resolved faster. The POCSO cases, clearance is happening faster by the judiciary. And another side, the issue is that faster clearance doesn't mean a fair justice has been delivered in the cases. Because in many of the cases, the first information reports are not updated because time-bound manner everything has to be resolved. Right? Many of the medical reports are not submitted on time. Lab reports are not submitted on time. The support person are not appointed on time. And the third issue which has been raised in the article is the paralegal volunteers. The paralegal volunteers. Right? What is the basic idea for paralegal volunteers? These are essentially the people who have degrees in law. Right? These are paralegal, that is they are open to providing support, right, to, let's say, the victims, that is the children, right, in such cases. There is also mandate to ensure that there is a paralegal support or paralegal volunteers appointed in police stations in India. They are supposed to be appointed, but the audit systems basically show that in lot of these particular police stations, the paralegal volunteers are not appointed. Now, what is the importance of these paralegal volunteers? Let's say there is a family. In the family, there is a child which has faced sexual offense. Now, this particular family wants to go to police station, file an FIR. File the FIR. In multiple instances, there has been delay in filing the FIR. In multiple instances, the police have threatened the victim and the family of the victim to basically withdraw the FIR or not to file the FIR. In multiple instances, it has been seen the police have called up the people against whom the FIR is supposed to be filed, and these people have come along with the police, have attacked the victim as well as the victim's family. All of these can easily be prohibited. All of these can easily be controlled if there is an appointment of paralegal volunteer in all the police stations in India. Right? So this is one more concern, one more lacuna in terms of implementation of the POCSO Act. And the fourth very important issue that has been raised in the context of the implementation of the POCSO Act is the compensation to the victims. The compensation to the victims. Under this particular law, that is the POCSO Act, the provision allows the judiciary to announce compensation, not just at the end of the hearing, not just in the judgment order, even before the judgment is issued. Even during the process of hearing, the courts are allowed to announce compensation. And what is the importance of this? In many instances, the victims belong to very poorest section of the society. The victims come from very poorest section of the society. That is a household which finds it very difficult to take care of the day-to-day requirements. Right? The household finds it very difficult to take care of even food requirements of the all the members of the family. Now, in that particular instance, imagine now the family is supposed to hire a lawyer. The family is supposed to travel to the court. Right? The members of the family, that is father and mother, they will have to forego the job opportunities or employment opportunities or the wage opportunities. They'll have to keep on running behind the government officials, the judicial officials, etc. So, in order to ensure that the family is taken care, the child is taken care, her health or his health or the education is taken care, there is a mandate or there is a provision to ensure that the court can announce compensation even without issuing the order or during the hearings of the case. But in most of the cases, it has been seen that the judiciary will wait for the hearings to complete, and in the judgment copy or when the order is issued, that is where, right, the compensation is announced to the victims. And does the compensation reach on time? In many of the cases, it has been seen that it takes multiple years to actually reach the victims. So these are some of the instances which have been reported, or these are some of the concerns which have been flagged in this particular article associated with the effective implementation of the POCSO Act. Is everybody okay with the discussion? Please do let me know in the chat section. I'm not entering into all the details of the POCSO. Reason being, you have heard of this multiple times, the provisions of the POCSO, etc., etc. Now, important points that you need to take away, the factual data that you need to take away from the article. India right now is running 773 fast track special court. Fast track special courts. 400 of them are designated for POCSO cases. The fast track special courts have been set up from the October 2019 because there was a scheme implemented by the Union Ministry of Law and Justice. The Union Ministry of Law brought in a scheme, that is the fast track special court scheme, under which more than 700 fast track courts involving more than 400 POCSO courts have been set up. Okay. Right, and the funds which have been used to set up is basically used from the Nirbhaya funds. Right, so these are certain important points. And one more concern that has been raised in the context of this, in addition to the 4 points that I've written, write down the 5th point as well. One more concern that has been raised is, on one side, the number of cases which are cleared, which have been filed under the POCSO Act, the number of cases have increased, but the conviction rates has decreased. The conviction rates under this particular law has decreased. What is the conviction rate according to the data published right now? The conviction rates actually have gone down from 35% back in the year 2019 to 29% across the country by 2023, which means in more and more cases, the perpetrators are walking away. The allegations have not been able to be proved effectively, and the perpetrators have walked away. So one more concern, the 5th important concern is the lower conviction rates under the POCSO. Right, so these are important points. Now please take up this particular question for mains answer writing practice. Child-friendly justice requires balancing efficiency, empathy, and fairness. Examine this statement in the context of fast-track courts under the POCSO Act. You're supposed to write the answer for 250 words. It is a 15-marker question. And as usual in my sessions, I'll repeat this again. Practice mains answer writing. Please do not miss out on this. Now, please solve this particular question and tell me what is the correct answer very quickly. Consider the following statements regarding the fast-track Special Court Scheme, FTSC scheme. It is a central sector scheme. Under this, only the dedicated or exclusive POCSO courts are set up. And the third one is, the scheme was launched by the Ministry of Law in 2019. What is the correct answer? Please tell me very quickly. Naidu says A. Madan, option B. Shubham Kumar, option B. Avantika Pandey, yes sir, okay. Lakshmi, option B. What about others? Those present in the session, please tell me what is the key answer. Okay, right. So, what are the important points associated with the fast track special court scheme? I've taken the screenshot of PIB website here. Please go through these particular points. And when I say go through these points, download the PPT. After the session is over, the PPT will be uploaded in the official Telegram channel. Download it. More importantly, right, go through these particular points. It is a centrally sponsored scheme. It is a centrally sponsored scheme. I hope it is visible. Otherwise, I'll magnify this. It is a centrally sponsored scheme, right, which is used to establish the fast track special courts, including exclusive POCSO courts, including exclusive POCSO. These particular courts, that is the fast track special courts, these are exclusively for POCSO cases, right? In addition to this, the normal will be the rape plus POCSO cases. It was launched in October 2019 by making a change to Criminal Law Amendment Act, right? So, in addition to this, the scheme is a centrally sponsored scheme. The funding is here. Please make a note of this. The funding pattern has been provided here. Right? The central share to state share is 60:40. These are the important points. Please make a note of this. Under this, the special track courts or fast track special courts have been set up in the states as well as union territories. Right? So let's go back to the question now. It is a central sector scheme. Is it a central sector scheme? No. Centrally sponsored scheme. Second one, under this, only the dedicated exclusive POCSO courts are set up? No. Right? POCSO is part of this initiative. Right? The scheme was launched by the Ministry of Law in 2019. The statement is correct. Third one is correct. Right option for the question is option A. Only one of the three statements is true. Now, let's go forward. There are a couple of more important topics which have been discussed in the context of POCSO. Let's finish it very quickly. There is one debate that is happening. Very recently, the Supreme Court of India has asked the central government, that is, it has asked, right, the judgment copy, or let's say the order to be sent to the Ministry of Law, right, and they have asked a very important or a pertinent question. Should there be a change under the POCSO law? Should we introduce certain changes under the POCSO law? What is the change I'm talking about? Listen to me very carefully. There is one discussion that is happening right now, that is the close in age exemption, versus the bright line rule. The bright line rule. Right? In many of the cases, in the newspapers, in the websites, etc., they will also mention this close in age exemption as Romeo Juliet exemption. Have you heard of this? In the last couple of days, have you heard of this Romeo Juliet exemption? Now, what is the discussion? What is the debate? Earlier, I told you under the POCSO Act, which is a gender neutral act. I repeat, gender neutral act. Basically, it says anybody who is below the age of 18 years, essentially will be considered as a child. And any case of sexual offense, any kind of a sexual offense in this particular case, or even if the other person is, right, let's say one person is above the 18 years and the other person is below the age of 18 years, again gender neutral. In such cases, even if the relationship is consensual, it will be considered as rape of a minor, rape of a child. Reason being, one of the two people who are involved in the relationship essentially is considered as a child under the POCSO Act. So the Supreme Court of India essentially says there are multiple instances where parents have misused this particular provision. The parents have misused this particular provision. That is, let's say, there is a relationship that is existing between two people, a boy and a girl. Girl is below the age of 18 years, boy is above the age of 18 years. Now, in such cases, because it is an intercaste relationship, the family of this particular girl could be very conservative in nature. In such cases, they will use this particular provision under the POCSO Act, right, to file a case against this particular boy, or let's say the man who is above the age of 18 years. So there have been multiple instances where there have been examples where the parents of one of the two people involved in a consensual relationship have misused the provision under the POCSO Act. They have misused the provision under the POCSO Act. So the Supreme Court of India is asking the central government, can we change the age of consent? In such cases, right, can we have a relook at age of consent? Because right now, like I said, the age of consent is basically 18 years. Again, the age of marriage is different, by the way. I hope all of you understand this. Age of marriage for girl or a woman is 18 years. For man, it is 21 years. Whereas the age of consent is 18 years for both of them under the IPC as well as under the POCSO Act. So argument is, because there is a potential of misuse of this particular provision, one, can we change the age of consent or have relook at age of consent? And second one, in such cases where the parents or the relatives of one of the two consenting parties has misused the provision, is there, right, let's say a process to penalize them, to hold them accountable. Is everybody able to understand? To hold them accountable. And in that particular context, this particular provision of Romeo-Juliet exemption or clause in age exemption will come into picture. Because in case of India, right now, the practice that we have is bright line rule. It is called as a bright line rule. That is, irrespective of the boy or a girl, the same age will be considered as age of consent. No exemption whatsoever, right? That is 18 years. Whereas in Western countries, if the age gap is very small, I repeat, if the age gap is very small, generally these are not considered as violation of the provisions or violation of the law. If the people involved in this consensual act are, let's say, right, of both of them are same age, or even if the age gap is very minimal, in such cases, generally the action is not taken. But one more very important point is the consent age or the age of consent in many of the developed countries is not 18 years, rather it is 16 years. Now with lowering of, right, let's say the consent or the age of consent, what are the benefits? The benefits are essentially a lot of children, right? Or let's say according to the law, I'm saying the children means below the age of 18 years. A lot of people who are between the age group of 16 to 18 are involved in, right, relationships. They are involved in a consensual relationships. And because the law is so strict, they are very much afraid of disclosing the relation. And whenever the parents are, right, let's say unhappy with their relationship, there is always a stress in the mind of these particular children. Right? And there are also potential of misuse by the conservative parents against such consensual relationships whenever there are intercaste. The two parties belong to two different castes. Right? So there is an issue associated with this. But various experts argue that, including the government of India, various experts argue that we should not change the age of consent. It should be 18 only. Let's not change it. Let's not reduce it to 16. Not needed. And there is also debate. Can we basically make certain exemptions for the people who are in the age group of 16 to 18? Can we make certain exemptions if the cases involve, let's say, a girl in the age group of 16 to 18? Experts are against this. Reason is, what if this particular child, let's say 16 and a half years of age, is pressurized by the family, right, and is forced into, let's say, a child marriage according to the law, right, below the age of 18 years. But because we have made an exemption, if this particular girl in the court, in front of the judiciary, in front of the, let's say, police officials, because of the force of the parents, basically say, I consent to this, I am okay with this. Right? So there is always a danger, right, that can arise because of this, where they can be forced into child marriages, where they can be forced into, right, let's say prostitution in certain cases, right, or let's say they can be, they can get involved in many of these kind of, let's say, activities. So the concern is the age of consent, which is 18, should remain at 18. And there is also one recommendation: can the judiciary on case to case basis take up these issues? That is, if these, right, let's say the children, or if the girl is in the age of group of 16 to 18, can the judiciary on case to case basis give a ruling? The issue is there might be, right, subjectivity in such cases. The judiciary might become subjective. In one case they might favor it, in another case they may not favor it. So that is the reason the government of India, the law commission, and the various standing committees have given a recommendation against changing the age of consent. But in addition to this particular debate as to whether we should change the age of consent, what is the other important change that we are supposed to make? For any kind of a real impact in the society, what we require is a holistic solution. We require a holistic approach. What kind of holistic approach? Right? One, we have to ensure there is a comprehensive sex education to the children, right? At least in the high school, in the colleges, etc. Respect for young people's autonomy, accessible sexual and reproductive health services, gender sensitive and responsive law enforcement, and above all, a social ecosystem that will support adolescents, especially the girls who find, right, themselves at odds with their families, especially if the family is very conservative. They do not approve of the boy's caste or boy's stature, right, etc. So these are certain important points associated with the article here. Is everybody okay? Can we move on to the next set of articles? Do let me know. And these three articles are associated with POCSO. Large coverage has been there. I have not gone into the basics of POCSO because I know all of you are experts in the POCSO now. Okay, let's go forward. Next article in the editorial, Court's Year of Interregnum. Court's Year of Interregnum. Right? What is the discussion? First and foremost, interregnum basically means no activity for certain time period. Right? No activity for certain time period. So what is the discussion that is happening here? The concept of a quad was introduced back in the year 2004. But the most of its activity, that is the importance to the quad, the members' participation, etc., began after 2017. After 2017, because although the proposal, initially it was proposed by Shinzo Abe, the Prime Minister of Japan, by the way, Shinzo Abe. Right? So initially, though it was the proposal, interest of the parties was not very high. And especially for a country such as Australia, they were threatened or they were pressurized by other countries such as China not to participate in the Quad. Reason being, Quad has India, Japan, USA, and the fourth partner is basically Australia. So when USA is present, India is present, which are basically opposite or exactly an opposite angle associated with China's principles. So there was a pressure that was enforced on Australia not to participate in the Quad. But anyways, in 2017, the Quad became operational or became, right, let's say, basically much more involved. The member countries became much more involved. The meetings were happening. The leaders, the heads of the states were meeting. The ministers were meeting, etc. But in the last 1 year, that is in the 2025, because the article focuses on what has happened in the 2025. What has happened in the Quad? There has been a change in the administration in USA. First point, is it okay? There is a change in the administration of USA. That is 2024, elections were conducted. Mr. Joe Biden was the then president of USA. He was replaced by Mr. Donald Trump. Once Mr. Donald Trump became the president of USA, the policy which was followed by USA, right, changed. Rather than focusing on the global stability, right, rather than focusing on the global order, etc., USA now started following America First approach. And this particular America First approach is very much evident in the new national security policy which has been announced by the current administration very recently, where their focus is now on Western hemisphere, not on the global order, not to protect the global economy or the stability, not to protect the global organizations, etc. No, they are basically America centric now. They want to hold the control over the Western Hemisphere. They want to exert their influence in the Western Hemisphere at any cost now. So there is a change in the administration. With the change in the administration, there is also change in the approach that one of the members in the Quad has taken. In addition to this, what has also happened in the, right, let's say, other member countries? Japan, elections were conducted in Japan. I'm sorry, there was a change in the prime minister in Japan. Sanai Takachi became the prime minister, right? So there were also changes that were happening in other member countries. For example, India. Back in the year 2024 and 2025, no doubt, we have always stated that we want to have very close relations with USA. There is absolutely no doubt. We have always extended our friendship, our hand of friendship to USA. We have always extended courtesy to USA. We have always stated that any problem that we have with USA can be negotiated. We can address that. We have already taken certain measures in order to address that as well. For example, be it in terms of reducing our reliance on Russian oil imports, be it entering into agreement within the Quad in order to ensure there's a stable supply of critical minerals, signing an agreement to import LNG from USA by the government-owned companies. So multiple reforms, even the discussions have been held by the government of India's side with USA. But on the other hand, the approach that has been taken by the American administration, the USA administration, is not conducive. It is hurting the relations that are existing. And when these kind of policy measures are implemented and you target a specific country, that is, I said, in the Quad, how many members are there? 4 members. You have USA, you have Japan, you have Australia, and you have India. These are the 4 members of Quad. Now look at what has USA administration done in the context of India. Right? Various exemptions that were given to many other countries were not extended to India. Very recently, there is a discussion of introduction of a bill in the USA Congress now, which will impose 500% tariff. I kid you not, 500% tariffs on those particular countries which are continuing to trade with Russia, specifically importing oil. So when these kind of measures are implemented, essentially there will be frictions, there will be fractures which are visible in all the groupings where the member countries are present. And that is essentially visible in the, right, let's say, Quad as well. It is visible in the Quad. How do I say it is visible? In the year 2025, the leaders of the Quad, right, there was supposed to be a leadership summit. Right? What do you mean by leadership summit? The heads of all the 4 countries will come, right, to meet. There'll be photo ops. But more importantly, when the leadership summit is held, lot of new initiatives are announced. And understand this, in 2025, the ministers have met. The foreign ministers have met. The meetings have happened 2 times in 2025. But ultimately, who is going to drive this particular policy of Quad, or let's say, who are going to give the approval for the policies under the Quad? It will be the leaders of the respective countries. So in 2025, the leadership summit which was supposed to be held was not held. It was supposed to be held, it was not held. Right? So argument is, has this, right, let's say, hampered the Quad initiative? And the irony of the situation is, the Quad initiative, like I said, became very pertinent, important post 2017. It was on the insistence of Mr. Donald Trump. Back in the year 2016 to 2020, it was Mr. Donald Trump was the president of USA. 16 to 20, Mr. Donald Trump. 20 to 24, right, Mr. Joe Biden. And now 24 to 28, again Mr. Donald Trump. So what was the approach that was taken by the first administration or the earlier administration when the same president was there is slightly different, stance is slightly different compared to, right, the current administration. And when I say slightly different, it doesn't mean that the USA has given up on the idea of a Quad. No, like I said, in 2025, two minister level meetings were conducted and these were heralded, basically driven by Mr. Marco Rubio, who is the Secretary of State under the USA administration. But nevertheless, we have not seen a leadership summit. But having said so, does it mean Quad is dead now? Quad is unimportant. Quad is right basically a vestige of bygone era? No. In 2025 itself, have a look at the initiatives that were implemented under Quad. Look at the initiatives that were implemented under Quad. Quad at Sea Ship Observer Mission was implemented in 2025, June 2025. The Ports of the Future Partnership, it was one more initiative of the Quad which was implemented in October 2025. Right? There was one more Malabar Naval Exercise, which is not officially the part of Quad's, right, let's say the group of activities, but anyways, these were the 4 countries which participated in this particular exercise. So these are certain important outcomes that have been observed, right, involving the 4 members of the Quad in the last 1 year. So essentially, the argument of the article is, yes, 2025 has not seen a leadership summit of the Quad members. That doesn't mean the Quad is useless or the Quad has lost its relevance. It is essentially going through a churn. It is going through a process where there is a revamping that is happening in the members of the Quad, and after this, they will come back to the meeting table. Done? And this is important. Okay, so please take up this particular question for mains answer writing practice. The absence of leadership summit does not necessarily imply a strategic drift. Examine this particular statement in the context of Quad's functioning in 2025. Is everybody okay with the discussion? Can I move on to the next? Please take up the question here. Consider the following statements regarding the Quad. It was formed in 2021. It has launched a critical mineral initiative in 2025 to secure, diversify the supply chains. The Quad is a formal military alliance with collective defense obligations similar to NATO. How many of the 3 statements are true? Do let me know. Yeah. Let me know how many of the 3 statements are true. Anushka Singh now initially said A, then said right D, and then said B. Okay. Lakshmi Madhuri A. Shubham Kumar A. Lakshmi B. Naidu 1 or none. 2 options. Harish Chandra Singh D. Okay, let's start. Right, a lot of you have chosen right A. Some of you have chosen D. Let's start. It was formed in 2021. Incorrect. Initially in 2004. Then actually, right, let's say became more pertinent from 2017. It has launched a critical mineral initiative in 2025 to secure, diversify the supply chains. Yes, this was one of the important outcomes of the Quad. Back in the year 2025, that is I think around June to July 2025, there was a basic partnership that was discussed, or let's say initiative was launched in order to ensure there is a secure supply of critical minerals, especially reducing over dependence or over reliance on China. Okay, so second statement is correct. The Quad is a formal military alliance with the collective defense obligations under NATO. What is the meaning of this particular statement? Very often you would have come across Article 5 of NATO. Correct? Have you come across this? Multiple times when I myself have taken the discussion, I have told you Article 5 of NATO is the, right, let's say the Quad, the 4 member countries, have they signed any kind of a, let's say, agreement like it is there under NATO? Absolutely no. It is basically a grouping. It is just a grouping of 4 countries where they want to ensure, right, let's say the maritime security will be there, right, the trade will be promoted, right, etc. It's just a group of 4 countries, that's it. But they have not signed any kind of an agreement on the lines of NATO. Third is incorrect. Right option for the question will be option A. Only one of the above 3 statements is correct. Okay, let's go forward. Center to seek source code of smartphones in security measure. What is the importance of this article? Listen to me carefully. There is an entity called as National Center for Communication Security. National Center for Communication Security. And this particular entity, I'll write the short form here, NCCS. This entity, which functions under the Ministry of Communications. The Ministry of Communications, this particular center back in the year 2023 came out with a proposal, and that is ITSAR, Indian Telecom Security Assurance Requirements. I'll repeat the full form again, Indian Telecom Security and Assurance Requirements. Under this, there are totally 83 security protocols that the mobile phone manufacturers now will have to come under. That discussions are happening. There are 83 protocols. Now, some of these particular protocols have raised concerns for the smartphone manufacturers. For example, if the company, let's say a smartphone company which has sold the phones in India, if they want to give an upgrade, if they want to give you a patch in the software, etc., first they will have to submit that particular software to this entity. Is everybody able to understand? They will have to submit this to this entity. And the entity will be open, or entity will be given the power to test whatever is being done by the software companies. That is, whether the software is correct or not, the source code is correct or not. All of this tests can be conducted by this authority. And not just this, there is one more proposal which says when the smartphone is sold to the consumer, there will be certain pre-installed apps. Under one of these particular proposals which has been put forward now, the customer, when they purchase the phone, now should have the right to delete if they want the pre-installed apps. If they want to delete it, they should be given the right. Because right now the practice is that a lot of these particular smartphone manufacturers enter into agreement with certain companies. For example, could be Microsoft, could be Google, etc. And they will pre-install these apps. And you are not allowed to delete these particular apps, because suddenly there will be a pop-up which says this is an important app to run the system. You are not allowed to delete it, etc. So there is this kind of a monopolization that is happening in the smartphone market. So argument is, if these apps are pre-installed, then the customer should be given the right. If they want to delete it, they should be allowed to delete it. There is also provision which talks about the malware reporting. And all of this is being done by the government in order to ensure that there are lesser security risks which are faced by the customers or the consumers. Because in lot of these particular apps, the apps are given the right, or they are given basically the permission to use the other apps in the background. For example, let's say you download an app. This app will basically say, if you want to operate it, then you should give the permission to your contacts or access to your contacts. You should give the permission to access your, let's say the search pages. You should give the access to your photos. You should give the access, let's say to let's say mail, etc. So when this kind of an access is provided in the background, this malware can be collecting lot of data and supply, or basically send it to somebody who has plugged this particular malware into the program. And this creates a cyber security threat to the consumers or the users of the mobile phones. So the government of India now has proposed these kind of security, let's say concerns, or let's say security, let's say framework, and this has been designed by the NCCS. Now against this, the telecom manufacturers, or let's say the smartphone mobile manufacturers, have raised a concern. Their argument is, whenever we create, let's say a software, whenever we create a patch, we cannot give the access to somebody else, because we want to protect it. It's ours. It has intellectual property. We simply don't want to disclose it to somebody in the market. So certain concerns have been raised by the smartphone mobile manufacturers against this particular framework. Is everybody okay with the discussion? Okay. Next one. New crypto regulations. New set of crypto regulations. Very, very important. Listen to me carefully. Under the Ministry of Finance, there is an entity called as Financial Intelligence Unit. Financial Intelligence Unit. Now, the Financial Intelligence Unit has announced a new framework to regulate cryptocurrency exchanges in India. Cryptocurrency exchanges in India. Now, what are the important points? As of today, cryptocurrency is not a legal tender. Remember, as of today, crypto is not a legal tender. What do you mean by not a legal tender? Whenever you purchase any good or a service in India, what is the money that you're going to, let's say pay? You have a debt. You have to, repay the debt. What are you going to use the repay debt? That is essentially called as a legal tender. The fiat money that you have is a legal tender. As of now, crypto is not a legal tender. But even then, the government under the Income Tax Act of 1961 has imposed taxes on the crypto. They have imposed the taxes on crypto. Now, what are the new set of regulations which have been announced? The Financial Intelligence Unit has stated that 1. The crypto exchanges will be considered as virtual digital asset service providers. Is the first point clear to all of you? Please do let me know in the chat section. The crypto exchanges, the one which will provide the facility of trading of the cryptos, now will be designated as VDA service providers. And what is the importance of this particular announcement? All the VDA service providers will have to be registered. All the VDA service providers will have to be registered now. Registered with whom? They will have to be registered with Financial Intelligence Unit. And the reason why this has been announced by the government or the FIU is that there is always a concern that the crypto exchanges might facilitate, let's say the conversion of black money to white money or circulation of the black money. And the black money can be used for, money laundering activities, terrorist activities, etc. So, in order to bring all of these provisions, essentially control the issue of money laundering under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, many of the changes have been announced. And not just this. Until now, if I wanted to trade on the crypto exchanges, I used to submit a paper document. That's it. Submit a paper document. Whatever proof is required, submit it. Now the FIU simply says no. You will have to provide PAN. As usual, you'll have to provide PAN. But in addition to PAN, you'll also have to provide secondary proof. You will have to provide secondary proof. For example, Aadhaar, residence proof, etc. Secondary proof has to be submitted. And not just this. If I register, if I'm a user of a crypto exchange, now during the registration process, there will be, look at this particular term, a penny drop mechanism. There will be implementation of a penny drop mechanism. What do you mean by a penny drop mechanism? Multiple times whenever you're registering with a service provider or certain service through the app, etc., they will ask you to make a transaction involving, let's say, 1 rupee. All of you have seen this, Or I'm pretty sure a lot of you have done this. They will ask you to conduct a transaction using 1 rupee. Or they will ask you to conduct a transaction using a 2 rupee. What is the logic of asking you to conduct this particular transaction? It is basically a methodology. Penny drop is a technique to essentially find out the bank account that you're saying that you have, whether the bank account details are valid or not. Is my statement clear to you? It is a technique to basically find out or ascertain whether the bank account that you're reporting, it is correct or not. To authenticate the validity of your bank account. That is essentially the penny drop mechanism. So, once you register under the crypto exchanges, there will be a penny drop mechanism or authenticity conducted. And not just this, registration through facial recognition. Registration through facial recognition. What do you mean by facial recognition? Not just scanning your face. No. In many of the instances, they are asking you to move your face. They are asking you to blink the eye. This is essentially the live facial, right, recognition. So live facial recognition shall be done, and even the geographical location shall be registered. That is latitude as well as longitude information. So these are certain very important, right, let's say the reforms which have been announced by the Financial Intelligence Unit in the context of the crypto exchanges. This is one more step which has been undertaken by the government authorities to ensure there is some amount of regulation on the crypto exchanges and the abuse of the crypto exchanges will be minimized. Now, please solve the MCQ and tell me what is the key answer very quickly. Those present, what is the key answer? Please tell me very quickly. The cryptocurrency exchanges are regulated under the Financial Intelligence Unit. The FIU functions under the Ministry of Home Affairs. The FIU has classified the crypto exchanges as virtual digital asset service providers. What is the correct answer? All of you so far have stated option B. The crypto exchanges are regulated under the Financial Intelligence Unit. Yes, first one is correct. The FIU functions under the Ministry of Home Affairs. Incorrect, Ministry of Finance. Third one is the FIU has classified the crypto exchanges as virtual digital assets service providers. Yes, third one is correct. Out of 3, 2 of them are correct. Right option will be option B, only 2. Let me go forward. Funds for forest management. Environment Ministry funds sought for forest management committees. What are the important points? Listen to me carefully. Under the Forest Rights Act, FRA, under the Forest Rights Act 2006, there are provisions to identify and provide and recognize the forest rights of individuals as well as communities. Individuals as well as communities. This is point number 1. And once you have provided for the forest rights of communities, essentially it is protected, implemented through Gram Sabhas. So far so good. It is provided to the Gram Sabhas, and it is the Gram Sabha which will have to essentially set up a committee. It will have to set up a committee, that is Community Forest Resource Rights Management Committee. The Community Forest Resource Rights Management Committee. The committee has to be set up by Gram Sabha, and this particular committee will prepare a plan. How the resources can be utilized, how to protect the forest, how to ensure that the forest will be developed, etc. The plan has to be made, implementation, right? Everything has to be done by Gram Sabha. Now, in addition to this, right, there is a lot of tribal population which is present in this particular region, and that is where the Ministry of Tribal Welfare comes into picture. The Ministry of Tribal Welfare back in the year 2023 has come out with certain guidelines, and the argument is very simple here. You want the Gram Sabhas, which is a representation of a community here, you want the Gram Sabhas to formulate a plan. You want the Gram Sabhas to implement a plan. But for all of this, the Gram Sabhas will require financial resources. Is the point clear? The Gram Sabha will require financial resources for, right, let's say training of the people, for protecting, right, the resources, for, right, creating a plan, etc. They will require resources. So now the discussion that is happening is, can we get the funds, right, for the forest management for these particular committees, that is the Gram Sabhas, can we get the funds from the Ministry of Environment? Can the Ministry of Environment allocate certain amount of funds for these particular communities, right, to implement, to formulate, right, the plan which is, right, essential part of Forest Rights Act. Done. So this is an update associated with whatever we have been discussing in the past 2 months associated with the forest rights. Now next article, everybody is okay with the discussion so far? Please do let me know. I see that today a lot of you are not participating. Why? Monday blue, Right, a lot of you are not participating because are still in the Sunday hangover, right? Still sleepy, etc. Please participate in my sessions. I always keep on telling the people, participate. Best way to learn is by participating, asking questions, and getting the doubts resolved. Let's go forward. Arbitration Council of India yet to be constituted. Arbitration Council is yet to be constituted. What is the issue here? Listen to me carefully. Back in the year 2019, the government of India made an amendment, right? Made an amendment to the Arbitration Act. Under this particular Arbitration Act, we are supposed to set up an Arbitration Council of India. I'm writing the short form here. Arbitration Council of India. The government was supposed to set up Arbitration Council of India. It's been more than 6 to 7 years since the passage of the amendment. So far, the Arbitration Council of India has not been set up, and that is the concern which has been discussed. But now the question arises, what is the importance of the arbitration here? First and foremost, what is the meaning of arbitration? Arbitration essentially is a type of dispute resolution mechanism. Right? They use a technical term, alternate dispute resolution mechanism. Arbitration is one of the types. It is one of the types. Essentially, the parties involved in the dispute will appoint a third party, and this particular third party, looking at all the, right, let's say issues, right, hearing both the sides, will issue an order which is binding on both the parties. It is binding on both the parties. That is essentially the concept of arbitration. Now, in the context of India, arbitration is being promoted by the government, and not the first time it is being promoted. And the importance of this is arbitration will reduce the burden on the judiciary. It will reduce the burden on judiciary, right? Be it civil dispute, right, commercial dispute, it will reduce the burden on the judiciary. But more importantly, this particular process will consume lesser time. It will eat up lesser resources of the parties involved in the dispute, right? And the order which is issued is binding because both the parties are heard. And that is the reason arbitration is being promoted. But the problem in case of India is that right now, there is an arbitration act. But the process of arbitration which is being followed, there is no standardization. They will use the term ad hoc mechanism. Is the term okay with all of you? They will simply use the term, there is an ad hoc mechanism. Right? So, in order to streamline everything, in order to standardize everything, in order to ensure there is an entity which will ensure that the stakeholders will follow the principles, policies, provisions, etc. The Arbitration Council of India was proposed back in the year 2019. It was supposed to be set up now. That is, the provision is there, but appointment is yet to be done. So it's been multiple years since it has been passed under the Amendment Act. The government is yet to appoint, right, the people in the or set up the Arbitration Council of India. Everybody is okay? Now, please take up this particular MCQ associated with the arbitration and tell me what is the correct answer. Consider the following statements. The Arbitration Council of India is proposed under the Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Act of 2019. The arbitration awards cannot be modified by the courts. Second statement is slightly tricky, by the way. Second statement is slightly tricky, and I'm happy most of you have given the correct answer. The first statement is correct. Arbitration Council of India is proposed under the Amendment Act of 2019. Arbitration awards cannot be modified by the courts. This is incorrect. Right? Let me take you back to 2025. The May 2025 judgment of Supreme Court of India. In the May 2025 judgment of Supreme Court of India, right, 4:1 in the favor, right, 4:1, the Supreme Court of India has ruled that in certain cases, following certain conditions, the courts can modify arbitral awards. Right? Those who are saying it cannot be modified, this is the judgment, 2025 judgment, May 2025 Supreme Court judgment. In very, right, let's say certain cases, very few cases, right, there are certain conditions. Supreme Court says there will be conditions. Right? So in these particular conditions, the Supreme Court or the courts can modify the arbitral awards. Done? Right? So second statement is incorrect. First statement, right, is correct. Right option for the question is option A. Can I move on to the next one now? Do let me know. Bhairav Battalion. The Bhairav Battalion to debut in Army Day Parade in Jaipur on January 15th. Okay. Now, what are the important points? The army has developed a new type of a battalion, Bhairav Battalion. Please remember this particular new type or new battalion. It is army's newly raised modern warfare, war force, and this has become important because we have learned certain lessons from the learnings of Operation Sindur. And by understanding what has happened when the war between Russia and Ukraine broke out. Right? When we look at these particular, let's say, new modern warfares, right, which are happening in many places around the world, based on these, right, let's say, instances, there are certain learnings that the army has, right, taken out. And these, the outcome of these learnings is this new modern warfare force. And the name of this particular force is Bhairav Battalion. Right? It is a high speed offensive unit capable of executing special forces task at multiple levels. For example, it will, right, basically have a mixture of ground action, drone operations and electronic support, etc. Some of you are saying there is no voice. Is it the same for others? Please do let me know. Is it same for others? Hello, hello. Everything is good. All clear? Okay. So when I say is it same for others, if you simply type no, it is confusing for me. It is confusing for me. You're saying no for voice or right no for my question. So great. Thanks a lot. So what kind of activities this particular, right, let's say the battalion will provide? It will be involved in ground action, drone operations as well as electronic support. Mind you, there are already a lot of battalions, other types of battalions which are involved in, right, let's say the frontline war, right? We have that. This will provide basically a mid path. Mid path in the sense, right now we have elite para SF, elite para SF, which is involved in the strategic missions. We have the Ghatak battalion, which is involved in, right, the battalion task, etc. So this Bhairav battalion will be having, right, basically the middle, right, it will be providing the services which is middle of both of them, right. So these are important points. Please make a note of this new type of a battalion. Right now 15 are there. The target is 25 under the Indian Army. And finally, the last article, just an update. X accepts mistake, promises compliance with Indian laws. Right? In the last 1 week, multiple times we have discussed what is the issue with the new tool introduced by company X in the Grok AI. And by the way, Malaysia and Indonesia. Malaysia and Indonesia have already imposed a ban on the Grok AI. European Union is considering a ban. In the context of India, the Grok AI, the company X has given, right, let's say the information to the government now stating that they will abide by all the laws of government of India regarding the information technology, and also they have given information regarding removal or the action taken by the company regarding the complaint raised by government of India earlier. More than 600 accounts have been permanently blocked and more than 3,500 pieces of information have been removed by the company regarding the complaint that was raised by government of India earlier. Done? So this is just an update associated with whatever is happening in the last 10 days. Now these are the important articles, concepts as well as the questions from today's Hindu newspaper. If you have any questions, do let me know. I'll address your questions. If you have liked the discussion, do not forget to hit the like button. And if you are yet to join our YouTube channel, join right now. What time does the session start every day? My dear, if you're talking about the Hindu news analysis, 10 a.m. 10 a.m. For example, tomorrow, I'll see all of you at 10 a.m. Sharp at 10 a.m. Any other questions? Any other doubts or the confusion? Done then. Thank you. Take care. See you tomorrow sharp at 10 a.m. Have a great day.